You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my co-host and the homie, Kai. What's happening, bro?
What's good, man? What's good?
Man, chilling, big chilling. Glad to be back in here, man. We live in this thing. Trying to get it together, man. We're going to see if we're going to have a good show today. But before we get going, because we got some pretty juicy things to get into today, we're going to send a shout out to the studio. You see the logo behind your boy. We are in Fitboxer Studio, so if you want to do any photo shoots, music videos, podcasts like you're watching right now, call 707 Fitboxer. Well, let's jump straight into it, man. A really good game between two, pretty much who me and you, I truly believe that we thought would be at the top of that division.
Yeah.
With the Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals have been at the top of my power rankings for a long time.
Right.
But the team, and I also had the Cardinals going to win the division.
Okay.
But I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl prior to them trading for Von Miller and Odell Beckham. Who is winning that division in your eye?
I believe the Arizona Cardinals ultimately are going to win that division. I think that as a team, so far they've shown a level of consistency. This is really their first stumble on their path, right?
With a healthy team.
With everyone healthy, with a Kyler Murray, with the DeAndre Hopkins. If you guys remember, Kyler Murray was suffering from an injury. DeAndre Hopkins, he had dealt with an injury. I'm not sure, was it a hamstring, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, he was dealing with, I should know because he was on my fantasy team, and he's the reason why I'm not making the playoffs this year. But for the fantasy playoffs. But yeah, look at the Arizona Cardinals on offense, on defense, and you look at the team like them. They were a team that a lot of people thought, okay, well they could go undefeated. But every great team, especially when you have Super Bowl aspirations, there's going to be a time when you hit a roadblock and adversity, and it's how do you respond to that adversity? You know what I'm saying? Now, they didn't completely get blown out last game, but Kyler Murray had a poor showing. Shout out to Aaron Donald and the defense that they had. But Matthew Stafford has not really been consistent this season. He started off the season really well, but then he wound up hitting a rough patch when they played against the Titans. The Titans were able to get interior pressure on him. He was holding onto the ball, holding onto the ball too long, getting sacked, throwing wild interceptions, and he had the most, I believe, interceptions returned for like touchdowns in that 3-week span. So it's good to see them get a win back. But then if I pull up the Cardinals' remaining schedule, let me pull it up right here. We're talking about the division. It can kind of be like my last point with the Arizona Cardinals. So they play the Lions. So that's pretty much a shoot. The Detroit Lions are a team that is going to be in the lottery, obviously. Once again,
definitely.
They're allergic to winning football games. Then you play the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, that could be a nice game. They have Jonathan Taylor there running the ball well at a high clip. You play the Dallas Cowboys, the action waiting to happen. And then you have the Seahawks, who have a disgruntled Russell Wilson. So I'm looking at those final 4 games, especially that Lions game. That's a perfect get-right game for them. And I feel bad for the Lions. They're going to look like the get-me Lions, not how bad the Cardinals keep the breaks off them. So I just think from the schedule standpoint and for the fact that this game would be more of a wake-up call for the Cardinals, they're also going to come with the NFC West.
Okay.
How about you, man?
Man, I just from everything that you've mentioned, there's been some injuries with them losing Robert Woods. But with the addition of an Odell Beckham, who has six receptions, a touchdown, 77 yards reception, Cooper Kupp doing Cooper Kupp things, the defense playing well. The one thing that kind of I'm not sure about is I heard that Jalen Ramsey was in COVID protocol. But I heard that prior to the game. So with them winning without even having him, I think it's a big deal. And I think that it ends up being where, like you said, it's going to come down to the schedule, man. And like I've been saying, even when they were having their rough patch, I picked who I picked. So I'm gonna rock with the Cardinals to win the division.
Okay.
But I still got them Rams going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I think that it's gonna be a close one, man. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
With this one. I do. I think that with Kyler Murray coming back from injury, and the rest of the guys coming back from injury, DeAndre Hopkins, um, it's gonna be fun to watch. But I'm gonna pick them to win the NFC West. Who you got winning NFC Central?
All right, so the NFC Central. You mean the East you mean the North? NFC,
North,
Central.
North. My bad. I'm thinking baseball.
So we're gonna go North. All right, so let's go North. So Packers.
Yeah,
Packers.
great.
We can move on from there, but I want to say with the Packers, I believe what was it? Aaron Rodgers suffered a toe injury.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to monitor that. See, they're gonna play my team next week.
Oh yeah.
So they're gonna be playing the Baltimore Ravens, where Lamar Jackson had an ankle sprain. He got injured. We'll get to the AFC North later on, but so that's a key to look out for. The Baltimore Ravens, they've lost 2 division games as well, but the Packers are going to be going. The Ravens, I believe, are going to be playing the Packers on the road that game. So we'll see the quarterback situation with both teams, and see how that goes. But yeah, the Packers, I think they're just too far ahead. They're on a 2-game win streak. They're undefeated at home, 6-0, 10-3. The Vikings, they're inconsistent. The defense, they show up every now and then. The Bears, and the Lions, they're pretty much with the Jaguars, the worst team in the National Football League. Jaguars, Jets, Lions. So I'm going to go with the Packers to win the NFC North.
Who you got in the East?
In the East, man. The NFC East, if I'm not mistaken, this is a division where every single year, what they say, like the division winner always kind of flip-flops.
Yeah.
But I got to go with the Cowboys. The reason why I'm going with the Cowboys is sticking with the theme that we've had all season long with the Cowboys. You have Michael Parsons stepping up. You have the defense. They finally have a defense that they can kind of hang their hat on. Not the best defense in the league,
right?
They have it. But I look at the quarterback situation. Daniel Jones, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Taylor Heineke, you have Dak Prescott. Out of all those quarterbacks, who's the best quarterback in the division? Dak Prescott. And I always say a team without a quarterback you have no team. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys at 9-4, 4-2 at home, 2-game win streak. The Redskins, they're a nice resilient team, but I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. Man. How about you?
Yeah, we're in agreement with this one. As much as I wanted to kind of go with the Redskins not Redskins, football team. Sorry, y'all.
In the stream.
Cancel him. But yeah, much I want to go with the football team, man. I'm definitely gonna rock with the Cowboys. I just think they just have too much going good for them.
Yeah.
Especially from a health standpoint too. When you start going down those other teams, when it comes to health, they're the healthiest with the best quarterback. I'm gonna pick them.
All right, and then the South, the NFC South. I got the Bucs.
Yeah.
1-4 straight. Tom Brady starting to hit his stride.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they're going to get Antonio Brown back. They're 10-3, undefeated at home, 6-0. You look at the other teams in the division: Falcons 6-7, Saints 6-7, Panthers 5-8. The Saints need a quarterback this next season. They need to get a quarterback. The Panthers, people thought Sam Darnold at the beginning of the season that we both thought, okay, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have DJ Moore, you have Terrace Marshall Jr. We're thinking that they're going to be a team that could, do some things, but it turns out that not to be the case. Christian McCaffrey did get injured.
Right.
You bring back Cam Newton. He had one really good game, then he had the game that he played horrible. Like he was just bad. We won't get into that. And then the Falcons, Kyle Pitts, and have him on fantasy team. I thought he'd be the rookie of the year, but once Calvin really went down, he was starting to see double coverage, sometimes triple coverage. He was the only person that they could throw to because, you can't depend on no Calvin really. Russell Gage is there. And that offensive line needs help. Cordero Patterson is another guy who has been exceptional for him to be able to switch his position. But the Falcons, they just can't hang with the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers beat them, I believe it was that Monday night game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with TB12, your personal GOAT. No, he's not. I had to throw that
hard eye roll. Hard eye roll.
So, yeah. So who do you got in the NFC South, man? Any surprises?
Same. No surprises here. Sticking with the good old Tampa Bay, man.
Tampa Bay. I got a whole lot of money.
Right. So we're going to switch. We're going to stay in the South.
My favorite.
We'll flip it to the AFC South.
AFC. American Football Conference. That's what it's called, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. All right.
hope so.
Now, this was a division that we thought could be intriguing. But boy, oh boy, it's just top heavy.
Yes, very much so.
Jaguars are just bad. There's reports that
Basura
about the players reportedly being upset with Urban Meyer. You know, he's having that hard transition as a coach from college to the pros. The Texans, they still need to find Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? But we don't get into that.
Yeah.
The Colts.
I have heard that depending on how, and actually someone I said going into the season, Stephen Davis Mills, they're going to see what they got with him.
Okay.
And see whether or not they need to draft a quarterback.
Okay.
He was the number one quarterback coming out of his high school class.
Yeah.
And then he tore his knee up and had to stay off for years. So, and he was drafted as a second round. So it is something to see there. It could be some talent there. So we'll see what they end up doing with that. But them Jaguars is trash.
So once again,
I mean, the Texans is trash.
Yeah, I hate to be a broken record with going with the teams at the top of the conference, but I do like this Colts team to do something a little bit. But the problem is I don't see them winning the division. And I think this is where the bottom comes up from under them. So check this out, Ralph. Right? They got to play the Patriots. I believe the Patriots are the best team in the AFC, and they're probably a top 4 team in the NFL right now. Right? Defensively, Matthew Judon, I mean, he left the Ravens now, has 12.5 sacks. They got Christian Barmore from Alabama, who was like the best defensive tackle, interior tackle at Alabama last year in college football. You already know about their offense and Bill Belichick, his mastermind game. They're one of the few teams that can still run the football, right?
Right.
So the Patriots, that's an L. Then they play the Cardinals. Okay. Then they play the Raiders. Now, that could be a game where the Raiders could get the win or not, but I think because that could be a game where it's like, look, we're just dejected. We lost to the Patriots, lost to the Cardinals. And then they end the season with the Jaguars. So the Colts could possibly finish 500. But then when we look at the Titans, I actually just have the Titans schedule in front of me. Excuse me, give me 1 second. Their offense has been really anemic recently. Ever since Derrick Henry went out, they've been going worse and worse. They play the Steelers. Okay, that's a possible win. They play the 49ers on a short week, though. That could be an L. They play the Dolphins. I think that's a win. And they play the Texans. That's a win. So I think they could go 3-1. I think that's where the Titans would.
What are their records?
The Steelers right now are.
The Titans versus the Colts.
Titans record. Okay, so the Titans are 9-4, and then the Colts are 7-6.
Yeah.
So it's like just I don't hate repeating.
Titans.
Yeah. All right.
And then we're gonna go from that south. We're gonna go right on up to the east. AFC East. We both probably gonna just agree on this one too. Patriots. Yeah, like
I think they're going to Super Bowl.
Yeah, they beat the Bills with the same record, so that gave them an edge, and then the Bills lost again. So it's
I actually think that we might, because we're speculating. We don't know what the season is going to be, but I have this weird feeling that we're going to get the Chiefs and the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I feel like Mahomes, everyone's counting out the Chiefs, but I feel like his career will be. I'm always at least going to be in the championship game,
right?
Because some people are saying first round. I think we got to hold off on that. I know you're a Raiders fan, so we can get into that because you have a better beat on the Chiefs than I do. But I just feel like Mahomes is one of those quarterbacks that's too special where I feel like his floor will always be at least the championship game. We'll see.
Yeah.
Depending on what
it just depends on who they get. It just depends on who they get. Because if they get someone that can actually run the ball.
Oh yeah, well we don't want that to happen.
Then if they get someone who actually runs the ball, then it'll be a thing. Like if they let's just say the Browns were to get to the playoffs.
So much talent.
You're right. If they were to run up someone like that, it'd be a heck of a game. It should be a heck of a game.
Yeah.
But if they play like the Bills don't run the ball. So
So I got the Patriots and that, and then your division, AFC West. That's a tough. That's a tough one. This one could go anyway.
I hate it. The Chiefs.
So
I got all this red on,
Chiefs.
but I hate them Chiefs.
All right, you hate the Chiefs.
I hate everybody in the AFC West except for the Raiders.
Right.
But it's gang over here.
Let me see real quick because I believe the Chargers and the Chiefs are the two teams. The Chargers were always like regular season type teams. Let me see. They play the Chiefs on Thursday. They play the Texans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. The Chiefs will play the Who the Chiefs play? The Chiefs will play, and the Chargers are only a game back. The Chiefs will play the Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, and Broncos. I don't know, man. The Bengals aren't really bad to me. The Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs, but seeding matters, right?
Yeah. I think with them seeding does matter. So they're gonna go hard. I feel like they're gonna try to go for as high as they can get. So I think seeding will matter to them.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna go with Chiefs, man. I just don't think that I don't think the Chargers got what it takes to win that division.
Okay. So I'm going with the Chiefs. And then finally, last but not least, the AFC North. I cannot believe I'm going to say this. Do you want to go first?
No, I'm gonna let you go first. Drop that bomb, G.
Bro.
Drop one of them clues bombs.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He's hurting over there.
For the first time in Lamar Jackson's career, are not going to finish in the top two. Or not going to finish. They're not going to. Well, they didn't win the division last year, right? It was the Steelers, right?
I believe so, yeah.
But, so I should say the first time. But I usually say they'll finish first, second. The Bengals for the first time in their career. In the Bengals' history in a long time. It might be the first ever. I believe the Bengals are going to win the division. And the reason why I say that is because Lamar Jackson is hurt. They have no offensive line. They have no secondary, right? They had a good showing last week, but they're just not consistent. We saw what the offense could look like if Greg Roman never opened the offense up, but they had to play the Packers, and that looked like and they had to end the season where they played the Steelers, and that's Lamar's kryptonite so far. They have to beat the Steelers, and they have to play the Rams, who might be hitting a stride going into the playoffs, and that's the team that you said was going to the Super Bowl. So if I know that the Ravens have those teams up, like I have to be realistic. I'm not saying that they'll miss the playoffs, even though they're actually low-key. They could be in jeopardy of doing that. But I just think that their schedule, bro, Packers, Bengals, who beat them at home already, Rams, and the Steelers, I think the Bengals could sneak out with the division, bro. I believe the only person I believe in, and you know it, my last point, I believe in Lamar. But if Lamar is compromised in any way.
Yeah. Because I didn't actually see the injury.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I don't feel like.
Oh, he just got his foot like this. Myles Garrett got his foot like that, and he just went out with the ankle sprain.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because it's like, for me personally, I probably would just sit them.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at their division right now. They're 8-5. Browns and Bengals are 7-6. So
it's tough.
I would, just for the sake of why get him hurt or hurt it more when I don't need to. Huntley kept us in the ball game.
I like Huntley.
So I would just rock with him and let him play the Packers, especially with Aaron Rodgers having the toe injury. I would let him go against the Packers and then unleash Lamar for the Bengals game.
Yeah, Lamar always plays the Bengals well. I think we can get the Bengals back, but the Bengals, they play the Broncos. They could win that game.
Yeah.
The Ravens on my birthday, so I will be trying to watch that game. I'll figure out when I can watch that. It's early morning. They play the Chiefs, the Bengals, and then they finish the Browns. I still believe the Bengals are the best team in Ohio, but the Browns have that pass rush.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But Baker it comes down to the quarterback, and I trust Joe Burrow over Baker.
Baker out there playing like trash. Now know.
Yeah.
That Odell Beckham was not the issue in Cleveland.
Right. So who's your pick for that division? Steelers, Bengals, Browns, Ravens. You think Ravens? Cool to say Ravens. You think Steelers? Fine. I don't think Steelers over.
No,
Browns, Bengals.
Not with Claypool out there, like.
Oh right. Yeah.
Like, bro, it's the clock. The clock.
Right.
Mike Tomlin is still like his. Somebody asked about his growth. He was like, it can't happen fast enough. Mike Tomlin is the GOAT. I pick him to win the division.
I like Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin to pick to win the division. But right. But to keep it a buck, I've just been thinking about it, and I'm like, after looking at their records, with them having the one game lead, and them playing the Bengals, I'm gonna pick Baltimore. I think Lamar is gonna win that one, and I think that will be enough to win the division.
Okay. All right. I think coaching will mess it up for us. Because
I think coaching is going to be whoever ends up not winning is because of coaching.
I say if we don't win the division, it gives more incentive to fire the coordinator. Oh, Greg Roman in all season.
Hey,
because they already have the
y'all should
excuse.
lose
They have the
that
excuse
division.
laid out with the injury.
Yeah,
All right.
but it's like with y'all being that close in the games, it's like, all right, well, we had the players to compete. Why aren't we? Yeah, get him out of here.
All right.
But yeah, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens left. We got a few weeks left. I'm trying to think what we're gonna do here. You know what? I'm gonna go.
Big deal, whatever.
I'm gonna do Ben. Let's talk about Ben.
Okay.
So more this more and more talks every few weeks. They just keep having talks. I've seen recently where the Sixers wanted someone in the caliber of a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or a Dame back. I seen where the Sixers wanted C.J. McCollum, but they don't want to.
He has a lung.
Yeah,
issue.
but then the lung issue happened. So I'm between the teams that are looking for him, who do you think is the best fit?
So between the teams that are looking between him, because I saw I believe Lakers, Knicks, which is weird. Lakers are always the Knicks for everything, right? The Portland Trailblazers and the Sacramento Kings were a team there.
Yeah, I don't see the Knicks. I don't see how the Knicks make that work.
The Knicks, man. The Lakers don't have any. I mean, Lakers don't have anybody really wants. They have Daryl Morey, but I don't want Russell Westbrook. If your goal is to win a championship or make a championship, Russ doesn't help you there, right?
Right.
And then Dame needs help, right? But I like the Portland Trailblazers. I think that's probably one of the more seamless fits. Also, I like what you have with the Sacramento Kings because Ben Simmons said that he wants to go to California, and it's like, okay, cool, but you ain't going to no contender. We can send you to the Kings, get back something for them if Daryl Morey doesn't ask for a high price.
Probably still is.
Yeah, they have Buddy Hield. They have different shooters over there, and he can play the role. He can run the point there. If you can get De'Aaron Fox out of Sacramento, because remember, De'Aaron Fox doesn't want to stay in Sacramento. Marvin Bagley doesn't want to stay in Sacramento. And De'Aaron Fox with Joel Embiid, now you have someone, because you have Tyrese Maxey, but you have someone who can truly, generate offense and score the basketball. It's not afraid to shoot. It's not a liability to have for offensive sets. So I think that would be, I think it's two teams, between the Sacramento Kings and then the Portland Trailblazers, if CJ was ever healthy.
Yeah,
Dame,
I was gonna say I think that Portland's chances of staying relevant, just kind of went out the window if they make that Ben Simmons trade because you have to give up Dame in order to get Ben because nobody's gonna trade for a player.
To let you just have him.
Nobody's gonna trade for CJ with one lung.
Yeah. So that's why I think the Sacramento Kings are the sleeper team. They just kind of come in there.
Yeah.
I could actually see Ben Simmons in the Sacramento Kings uniform.
Are you with that? Do you think they end up having to give up
De'Aaron
a lot
for him?
Yeah,
Ben Simmons
for Ben. Do you think that Sacramento will be cool with giving up?
I don't think they were cool because remember there was a report. I would have to actually look it up. But there was a report about Daryl Morey asking for
drafting people at my position.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you need to bite the bullet. It just comes down to management, bro. The Kings don't make smart management moves, except Davion Mitchell, your boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was smart. And I was like, maybe they're starting to make good moves. If you compare, okay, let's say you get a Ben Simmons. The Kings are like, okay, we're willing to give up enough pieces. Now we have a really strong defensive backcourt with Ben Simmons and Davion Mitchell. Now we can lock everything up. We don't have to switch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But for me and you've discussed this over the past, I'd say 2 seasons, the best fit for Ben Simmons, with all due respect, and I hope people really truly understand this, is him playing the 4 position. Yep. They fired Brett Brown, but Brett Brown was actually smart. Put him at the 4, which he was able to operate at LSU. Yep. He can play make just like Draymond Green from the post. He can start the break. He can defend. He can even play small ball center like what AD should be able to do, but he's just not durable. Ben's not, he's not soft like that. So if you put Ben Simmons, bro, at the 4 and the 5, Yeah, no, sorry. It's perfect. I'm not saying he can never play point guard, but he's
Right.
so versatile, man.
Yeah,
Like,
that you shouldn't just have him
At the
playing
point,
point
'cause he's
every
not gonna shoot.
every game.
Right. So those are my two teams, man. I don't really have all the players in front of me, but those are the two teams for me. I think the Kings are the Trailblazers.
Yeah, the Knicks don't make sense to me. The Knicks don't make sense to me. I seen something the other day about the Celtics are mulling
Then,
breaking up the Tatum Jaylen Brown duo, and it's like I hate to say it because everybody knows how much of a Jaylen Brown fan I am, but I think like Jason Tatum is too aggressive to a certain degree. It's like, bro, move that rock around, move it around. Like, I get it. It's you and Jalen to when it really matters to get that bucket. But I think he can be a little too aggressive. I understood where Marcus Smart was coming from, but at the same time, Marcus Smart, I'd rather shoot this over two people than to kick it to you.
Right.
Because there's no guarantee you're gonna knock this down. So, hey, me and Jalen got this. Relax, bro. Stay in that corner.
They need a dynamic.
And go play defense.
They need a dynamic. If one of them could really be nice in that mid-range area, like DeMar DeRozan, they need a dynamic like DeRozan and Levine, or what Kawhi and Paul George figured out in Utah.
Yeah.
Because, when there was questions about how DeRozan would fit with Zach LaVine and everything else, and look at you guys.
Right.
Like, you guys are seamlessly running off. So, and I feel like the Celtics never really figured that out. You have two-way winning players, but it's like, okay, somebody is just being resorted to like a spot-up shooter.
Right. Yeah, I do with that. So it's like I don't know. I don't see the Celtics. The Knicks. That just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Lakers don't make sense to me either.
Lakers.
He's smarter than Russell Westbrook, but
playoffs. But you're not going to take. You're not going to take Russ. You're not going to take. You're not going to take Russ. You're not going to take someone else that don't shoot well.
Yeah. People are like, oh, Horton Tucker. Man, no Horton Tucker. Sorry.
Oh, man. If I would take him on my team.
I know you would, but I'm not trying to diss Horton Tucker. I'm saying like you got to package him with hella stuff.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. Yeah, I don't. If I was the Sixers, I would definitely take him because it's like, all right, he plays tough defense. He got long arms.
You got 5 of them.
Yeah, but it's like, you get depth. Because like with Thibault gives you the ability to guard bigger guards. Where with Horton, Talon, first name Talon, you can use him to guard smaller guards. So it's like I could see it with that. But honestly, the best for me, it just depends on what the Sixers are willing to take. Because me personally, I would try for like a Marvin Bagley and De'Aaron Fox, or see like, hey, how y'all feel about De'Aaron and Buddy?
I was gonna say, yeah,
but like,
exactly.
But if worse came to worse, if it came down to it, I would just do straight up like, hey, just give me De'Aaron.
But that's never happened.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what I thought at first. I was like, they're like, nope. Dial tone.
Yeah, so I'm like,
it's not 2K, man.
Like, hello. Hello? Hello? Hey, what's a hundred? All you had to say was no, bro. But like, yeah, I think I think the Kings are the best bet. I just think there's just so many different people that you could probably pick from where you can't play them all together, and somebody's eventually going to get to a point where they don't want to come off the bench no more.
Yeah.
I think with De'Aaron's going to want to get out of there because you got Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell, which I think those two you can play together.
Oh yeah.
You can play them together. They can switch. Tyrese Halliburton can play the point. He can also run the 2. Same with Davion Mitchell. So I think, like, as far as the Kings setting up a future where if I was them, I would be cool with just giving up De'Aaron Fox and getting Ben Simmons, because then you can, like you said, there's so many different ways that you could play Ben Simmons along with those other 2, especially with Halliburton and Davion Mitchell coming in. Like, Davion Mitchell came from a school where they spread the floor. So obviously he can shoot.
Right.
Tyrese Halliburton came in already with a jumper. So now because you can't have Ben Simmons on the court with 4 people that can't shoot. All 4 people got to be able to shoot to a certain degree. So I think that could work the best because you could play him at the 4.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like that, man. I would love to see him out in Cali though.
I just want to see the man play again, bro. Actually, as much as people talk about him, like, when he's hooping, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, when he's actually engaged, it's
Yeah.
fun. Like I still to this day, I believe he was the defensive player of the year
Yep.
last year for the impact that he had on all areas of the court. But he just got robbed, and they gave it to Rudy Gobert, who wound up getting dunked on by Terrence.
Everybody.
And, yeah, and especially Terrence.
Bro,
Like,
I had, and I'm gonna say this last thing, and then we're gonna not get up out of here, but go to the next topic. When you get to a certain point, how are you a defensive player of the year? And we literally used you as the weak link. Yeah, it was like they literally was just doing screens, switch, cool. All right, come on out here.
It wasn't trying to find a screen to attack Ben Wallace.
Right. No, not at all. Ain't nobody attacking Ben on defense. Like, hey, let's get Ben Simmons out here on this. No, like that's right. And so, yeah, I think that's
exactly.
But next to one of my favorite new segments we just started doing, big deal or whatever, man. Me personally, as a Bulls fan, that's why I got all this red on. Repping hard. Got a lot of players out with COVID. And if you look across the league, it's a lot of players having to sit out, even just sports in general. But specifically, we're talking about NBA. Is this a big deal or it's whatever? Because I've even heard people start talking about whether or not the NBA will shut things down.
Yeah, so I have the article with Yahoo Sports up. It says, following the COVID-19 outbreak on the Chicago Bulls, the NBA announced on Monday it has postponed the team's next two games against the Detroit Pistons on Tuesday and Toronto Raptors on Thursday. The postponements marked the first of the 2021-22 campaign after 31 games were scheduled last season. Elise Johnson's positive case on Monday made him Chicago's 10th player to enter COVID-19 health and safety protocols. He joined Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White, Javonte Green, Derek Jones Jr., Ayo, Matt Thomas, Troy Brown Jr., and Stanley Johnson on the inactive list. So yeah, and some of those guys, different things.
And that was Alizé Johnson.
Yeah, Alizé Johnson. Thank you. Alizé and Hennessy. The Bulls signed Stanley Johnson to a 10-day deal using a hardship exemption on Thursday, only release him on Saturday. So straightforward to answer your question, I always say it's a big deal once you start missing games.
Right.
I say COVID does not. You don't choose COVID. COVID chooses you.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the NBA had this vaccine situation with the players, and even though players got vaccinated, they can still catch COVID, and as a result, you're seeing players missing and going into the COVID-19 protocol. The fact that the Chicago Bulls had to suspend 2 games, right? It's a big deal because one, as fans, we can't watch the games.
Right.
The players, they can't play the games,
yep.
And the NBA loses money by not having games on, and they have to actually reschedule and alter scheduling, and that's never the easiest thing to do.
No.
Right. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the Brooklyn Nets. This morning, 4 more players went out due to COVID health and safety protocol Tuesday morning for a game the night against the Toronto Raptors. So you're starting to see it kind of permeate and spread throughout the NBA landscape. And so I think the fact that once you start having postponements, it's a big deal, especially if the NBA has to have a shutdown, because we saw the first time with the bubble,
right,
which is the year after last year now, right? Yeah,
right.
And we were shut down for, was it 3 months or 2, like 2 to 3?
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months pretty much. And we saw how that situation altered things. So yeah, I do believe it's a big deal because now it's something that everyone's going to be looking at. And it's even affecting having fun because sports is supposed to be fun, right?
Right.
And I got fantasy players, who've been postponed. They're real players, but in our fantasy leagues, players like, oh man, we can't, enjoy the fruits of our labor. So
right.
I believe it's a big deal because now you're starting to see games get postponed.
And yeah, I'm gonna rock with you, man. I think I do think it's a big deal. I think when you start getting to a point where people are, it's kind of, if it had been one of those days where it's just a couple players missing the game and the game still went on, I would say it's whatever. Yeah. But it's a big deal when games aren't being played. So, and I think it's one of those things that kind of makes it hard. And I get it. Everybody knows how vaccines work. It's no guarantee that you don't get it. It just helps you fight it better. But it also makes you kind of question, like, what's the point of getting it anyway? Yeah. So I'm not going to turn it into that. But I at least understand that way of thinking. It's like when you got like 6. When you got a whole roster of people, you start right. mentioning. When you mention the names of the people, it's like you get Zach LaVine, DeMar's had it, Vooch got it, Ayo, Alizé Johnson. We signed Stanley Johnson, and then he's out too. Troy Brown coming off the bench. Kobe White coming off the bench. It's like literally the whole team at a certain point. Like I just seen just as we were starting the show, I looked at NFL.com. First thing that popped up, Odell Beckham test positive for COVID. Yeah. And so I think it's definitely a big deal when you start getting to the point where you're missing games, and it's like the whole organization, the league is canceling games, the organization is canceling games, not just players. So it's definitely a big deal. Next big deal, or it's whatever, we got them. What do we have here? Oh yeah. So it's a lot of hate, and not hate, but some this is interesting to me because I'm an Ohio State fan. So as an Ohio State fan, Urban Meyer retired a few years ago, decided to come back, and he's had, I don't know why. I get it. Tebow was your boy, but I think that was the start of all of it all. I really even think even before that, his homie from Ohio State that ended up having to quit. I think it was racist remarks, or it was either racist remarks or sexual assault. But it was like one of those things where it's like, right away you would think like, all right, hey, bro, in a time like this, you got to get out of here. Right. But it wasn't until the backlash came when the dude ended up resigning. And so then after that, you get the Tebow situation. Then after that, you get the situation where he told the players to go home. Then the video comes out of him dancing with a female. Right. And it's like, all right, bro, we're not kids. You're not just gonna tell us do as I say, not as I do, type of thing. We are grown men who are getting paid millions. Right. So obviously, I think it's a big deal because I think the writing's on the wall. They're about to get this man up out of here. But to you. Big deal or it's whatever?
Oh, it's a huge deal. It's a big deal for all the reasons that you mentioned. Because you look at it, it seems to be one thing after the other. First, it started off with Tebow, so that was kind of like, well, you're gathering the wood.
Right.
Gathering the wood to start the fire, right? Then you have the what you call you're igniting the light with the video, right? And then,
right.
Oh my goodness, it's on fire, man.
Right.
All the players are having an issue with the Jaguars. You're 2-11. You're 0-6 on the road. They say winning cures all ills. Man, you can't even win. You get beat every week in all phases: offense, defense, special teams. The mascot gets beat up by the kids. It's just a bad situation. And I look at it, bro, and I'm like, this is just like kind of like when you look at the history of the college football coaches, these prominent college football coaches, they try to make that transition into the NFL, and they struggle. They saved with the Dolphins. I'll even give you another one. Steve Spurrier with the Washington, at that time, the Washington Redskins. At that time. And Steve Spurrier was a prominent head coach. I know he coached over at South Carolina and different things of that nature, but he could never duplicate any success he had in the college level with Mark Brunell and all those other guys on the Washington Redskins. And then you had another coach, I'm trying to think, Chip Kelly. Yeah. Remember the old boy? Chip Kelly, what the? That viral video of the crazy Eagles fan. We're not going to get into that because but yeah, Chip Kelly, this dude traded away LaShawn McCoy, traded away Deshaun Jackson.
He traded all the good players
right,
because of gang-related activities, and then kept Riley Cooper.
Right, Riley Cooper was
Mr. N-word himself.
Yeah, and he made Michael Vick choose whether or not he's going to stay on the team. Like, what? No, fool, you're the coach. Anyway, so I don't want to. Yeah, so you can see like these college coaches, man, it's a bad omen. You know what I'm saying?
And it's you can tell the writing is on the wall because I seen even Trevor Lawrence, like Sunshine himself, said that he was upset that James Robinson, who he was like, he's literally our best offensive player. Why is he not on the sidelines? Right. And so it's when you get into that point where the face of the franchise, who is like, we've been waiting so long for this person to come into the league. He comes to your team, and then you trick it off in a certain figuratively.
And you have to look at the health of Urban Meyer too. That was a cause for concern, concern on how healthy he would be throughout the course of the season because he had to quit his last job due to health reasons. Right. And then there was also scandal. So I mean, you have scandal here and different things here. So yeah, man, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and then with the last time we got left, man, we decided we were sitting here searching for, not searching, but trying to think of new things for us to talk about. And since the NBA did their own top 75, I decided talk to him about it. It's like, yo, there's 75 players. We're gonna break it down, follow 5 positions, about 15, and then at the end we're gonna have a whole hour where we talk about our top 75 players. So today we're starting with top 15 point guards. Um, Me, I don't have mine ranked. You've talked about yours are ranked. Me, I'm just gonna throw.
Well, I don't have to rank them.
You don't have the rank. No,
but I mean, it's cool.
it's up to you.
We'll
I mean, if
figure
you
it
want to
out.
rank it, man, if you want to rank it, you can rank it.
All right.
The first two, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna chop off with. Everybody knows how much Mark Jackson as a point guard. If you talk to me about basketball, you've had a conversation with me about how I feel about Mark Jackson, both as a coach, player, and player.
Black ball.
Right. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But number two in assists when he retired, and he's also up there on the all time list when it comes to steals as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Went to a finals and lost to Kobe and Shaq. Was on a very vital member of those Knicks teams. I really do believe if they don't trade him for was it Derek Harper, I believe, and they keep Mark Jackson with that team when they go up against once Mike is out the way, they have a much better chance at going up against the Rockets. And so I do think with that, that's why I got him at 15, and then not well as one of my 15. I'm just gonna name my two. Then I'm gonna let you go. But we got 18 minutes, so just kind of get by it quickly because we both got 15 people. But I got Mark and Dame Dollar. When we start talking about this conversation, it's kind of hard to a certain degree because you can't really match people up. But you watch tape, you look at numbers, and you kind of go based off of that. And it's like when you start thinking about some of the people, like I'm gonna be real with y'all, Bob Cousy and Nate Archibald are not on this list. When you go and you look at the numbers of what they put up, and you start thinking about the fact that the merger hadn't happened yet, there's a lot of people like you got to think of someone like a Dr. J before he even got to the NBA. He had a career in the ABA. And then even back then, you could even say that there was more talent in the ABA than it was in the NBA. So it's kind of one of those things where certain people don't make my list as of right now. When we start talking about the top 15 at their respective positions, because I picked them for the top 15 doesn't mean they make my 75 list.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. I like it because I always like when I do the list, I always say, what's the criteria? Like for my greatest all time list, I always say it's skill set, peak, level of competition at your respective position, level of competition in your conference and throughout the playoffs, and level of competition in the NBA Finals, and then ultimately clutch ability,
right?
Because that matters to me, right? So my 15 point guard was Chauncey Billups, Big Shot Billups. So he made my top 15 because
Billups.
Detroit, yeah. Starting at guard, stand up, everyone. Detroit. Remember this broadcast in Detroit, man?
Yeah, that was hard. Hey, he was hard, man.
That was the best intros of all time, bro. So the 2004 Detroit Pistons, he was a starting point guard on the greatest defensive team in NBA history. The Pistons held fools to like 60 points a game, bro. It was ridiculous, man. And through the playoffs, they had everyone on lock. They made 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals. Chauncey Billups was a Finals MVP when they dethroned the Los Angeles Lakers. He was an integral piece for breaking up that duo in the NBA Finals because he had the game plan of, okay, let's guard Shaq straight up, right? Kobe Bryant's going to get upset with not getting his touches and et cetera. And so then he's going to shoot them out the game, and it wound up happening. Rest in peace, the late great Kobe Bryant, top 5 all time, my favorite player of all time. But I have Chauncey Billups, and then Mark Jackson, 5th all time in assist leader for all the reasons that you mentioned. So I got to go with Mark Jackson at my 14.
And then after that, I had Dame at 14, but now I got Kyrie.
Okay.
At 13. It's just one of those things when you start thinking about, man, the way that he has that ball on the string, his ability to finish left hand, right hand, floater, jump shot, hook shot, sky hook, 3-point ability, the ability to shoot off the dribble, clutch. closer, quick hands on defense. Might not have the foot speed to be able to keep up with the people of today, but that's when you start thinking about if you take Kuzi off that team and go put a Kyrie on there, what do you think Kyrie's going to be able to do? First of all, they're going to be looking at him like, what is this?
Yeah.
Coaching. I didn't see this on film that we watched before.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's why I think when you start talking about certain players, you got to be able to take them out of people's different eras, and can you play in all of those eras? And I think that,
He can,
and I think he can because of everything that he's able to do. He's from Jersey. I don't know any soft basketball players from Jersey.
Right.
So it's like that ability to go to the rim where people are going to hit you. He still can get the ball so high in the air with either hand that it doesn't matter. And so with that, this next one, people might be scratching their heads, but I'm biased. It is what it is. There's very few people I think that have played the point guard position that if you take their peak, regardless of how long it was or how short it was, Derrick Rose is my man's at 12, 22 MVP, was able to take Carlos Boozer, Ronnie Brewer, Luol Deng, Joakim Noah all the way to an Eastern Conference, 60 wins, and an MVP. And it's like when you start even thinking about even his career after that, he might not have had the ability to bang on people the way that he was, but he still has the explosiveness to get to the rim. He's even a more cerebral player, better shooter, and just a consummate leader on any team that he's on. And so that's my 13 with Kyrie and 12 with D Rose.
So this is tough because 13, I was thinking Derrick Rose, or I was thinking Kevin Johnson. And I'm trying to figure out how I kind of want to do this, right? It's tough because Derrick Rose, I feel like he's positioned himself into a great even 6-man role.
Right.
He was a former league MVP. People feared him at one point.
Feared
him. Here's the thing. He was a league MVP, but I have a question for you, being unbiased. In his prime, at his peak, do you take Derrick Rose over Chris Paul at his peak?
No.
Okay, so because I'm like, if you say yes, then we might all have to just switch up our top 5 point guards.
Yeah,
it's a great question, right? You kind of think of us like
because me when I start talking about the point guard position, and some people get irritated with me or look at me crazy when I say I got CP over Steph. But when I'm thinking about just a point, if I want a person to play point, I have a certain person or style that I like to play basketball.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm telling you, there's not really too many people. There's 2 people I will put over Chris Paul if I'm starting a team and I'm going to go with the point guard position.
Okay.
There's only 2 people I would even will put over him. So for me, it's like CP really is the point guard. And that's what that's how I view him. So it's hard. Now, if I was talking about their peaks as players, then Derrick Rose as a basketball player, we go into the park, we just out there hooping, it's a whole other game. But if I'm playing an organized basketball game, CP over Derrick's peak.
Because it's always you have all-time lists, you have impact on winning. So it's how do you go? So I'm going to actually go with Derrick Rose at 13. I had him a little higher. I'm going to move at 13. 13 is an unlucky number, and he got injured, so so Derrick Rose at 13. And then at number 12, I had Tony Parker, 2007 Finals MVP for the San Antonio Spurs, has 4 rings, probably the most underrated point guard of this era, in my opinion. He had that scoop shot. The dude was just crafty. I remember when he came in, didn't have a jump shot, worked in his mid-range game, so I got Tony Parker.
His jumper was atrocious.
Yeah. Say what?
His jumper was atrocious.
Yeah, it was atrocious. Then it got better, but the dude he's so underrated, man. He's just so underrated. So I got Tony Parker, Finals MVP against LeBron James. He was hooping in that series. He was hooping.
Oh, that was the 07 Cavs.
Yeah, 07 Cavs. Yeah, he was literally hooping. So
And then did you name 2?
Yeah, I named Kevin Johnson. No, I had Derrick Rose at 13, Kevin Johnson. I know. Derrick Rose at 13, Tony Parker at 12.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then so at 11, I got Steve Nash, 2-time MVP. Even though
hate mail's coming.
Even though myself, I will come. I've been on record saying it, and I'll say it now, that I don't think that either one of those MVPs should have went to him.
I agree.
The numbers and impact that Shaq and Kobe in their both respective years were able to put up. I get it. You come to a team, but I think it has a lot more to do with the offense you're running and that 7 seconds or less type of joint, where especially with who he played with. If you go back and just look at who he played with Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Q Rich, Leandro Barbosa. And it's just so many different players. What, Boris Diaw, like, dog.
This dude's squad was stacked.
Right. And it's just like, and then when you go and look, it wasn't even like a crazy amount of assists. He might have like 11 or 12.
Right.
But then his points was like 14, 15 points a game. So I'm like, bro, and Shaq is over there dominating. He's being Shaq. Right. How does this person win this one? And that's the thing for me that although to me, personally, if I was to rank them all in order, he's a top 10 point guard. But as of right now, like, and I don't, because this isn't my ranking. It's just 15. I'm just naming 15 people. Next, I got Tony Parker.
Tony Parker,
for everything that you just mentioned, man. I hated the Spurs, bro. They just weren't fun to watch. They're boring. Manu Ginobili was boring. Tim Duncan was boring. But you cannot deny the talent, the impact that he had on the game. The being an international player is not at the point guard position. There weren't too many. There's still to this day, you really can't really name too many high level top 5 point guards at their position that are international players.
Right.
And so for that, Tony Parker.
All right, and then for my number 11, I have Kevin Johnson. Probably most underrated. This dude was like, I think, joined Magic Johnson for like the most tied for like 20 and 10 playoff games, assists. But it's not more than just stats. He had an impact on winning.
Yes.
He just got injured, knee injuries, made the NBA Finals, was a leading point guard for that 93 Suns team that ran into Michael Jordan at the peak of his powers, who averaged 41 points per game in the NBA Finals, which is just ridiculous.
Right.
Thunder Dan. So he was giving that work. So, yeah, I got Kevin Johnson. And then number 10, I have Oscar Robinson, the Big O. I did not believe Oscar Robinson's top 5, top 3. Different era before the NBA merger. Wasn't winning until he got a rookie Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I got Oscar Robinson at 10.
And so with 10, I had Tony Parker. 9, I'm going to go with good old Walt Frazier. He just was a hooper, bro. Like, he probably is one of the few point guards from like that 70s, like what is it, 60s, 70s?
Yeah.
60s, 70s era that you could put in today and he was still hoop. Terrible dresser. Still dresses like it's in the 70s. But
talks like a cartoon character still. I'm like, oh man, Walt Frazier.
Yo, Walt Frazier's my dude though, but man, him and Craig Sager. They was like, bro.
Right, they're probably like brothers, man.
Throw that whole outfit away, G.
Like what Katie say,
burn it all the way down to the socks.
All right.
But and then GP in the glove.
Yes. You have number 8.
At 8. What more can you say about the Oakland native? One of my favorite, trash talker, go out there, lock up, but he was surprisingly and underrated. He was a bucket getter, ran his team very well, ran into that Bulls team that went, what were they, 72?
Yeah, 72 and 10 Bulls.
72 and 10 Bulls team, ran up against Mike and lost. So I can't really fault. Like I said, like when we go through this list, we're going to bring up some players, and the ones that don't have championships, well, Gary Payton does. But when we get to the people that don't, you can't fault them for losing to who a lot of people end up considering the GOAT.
Yeah. All right, so I got Walt Frazier at 9, Gary Payton at number 8, only point guard in NBA history to win Defensive Player of the Year award. And the only other closest I would come to would probably be Ben Simmons in terms of defense because of his versatility.
Is this your ranking too?
Yeah, it's my ranking.
That's crazy because
it's really similar.
We have those two of all the 15 names we could have named. Those two are the exact same. That's crazy.
It's like when Nas and Lauryn Hill were in the studio. You thought that, no offense, but Lauryn Hill's great. But it sounded like Nas wrote the verse for it. But that's what synergy does. Sometimes the synergy starts to rub off on people, right? But no, so yeah, no offense to MJ, I still attribute Gary Payton in conjunction with his fathers. depth.
Yeah.
As a reason for his worst NBA Finals performance, and then we can kind of rattle off the next couple for the sake of time.
Yeah. I got Big O.
Okay.
Big O and Steph.
Yeah.
Big O for what he was able to do. That triple double thing stood for a while. Steph should be breaking the record. What's that tonight?
He's only 2 away. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? Two away from tonight. Change the game of basketball. If you go to a park, if you've never watched people hoop before, just go to a park and you will see that how he plays is exactly a direct result of what you're watching on that basketball court.
Right. And then I'm going to rattle off some of the rest of the names I got. I had Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, John Stockton, longevity. He played for a long time.
Stockton played for 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. He's in my top 5 because Gary Payton said that he was the toughest cover that he ever had to guard. So when you talk about the greatest defensive point guard saying that tells you something. Then I had your boy Chris Paul, improved every team he was on. Two-way player, 9-time All-Defense. Led the Hornets to 56-win season, pushed the Spurs to 7 games, led the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals, ran into Giannis. After the Phoenix Suns missed the playoffs the year before, so you started to see a recurring theme. Right. Clippers' top 3 winning seasons were with Chris Paul. Isaiah Thomas led the Pistons to 3 consecutive NBA Finals, 1 Finals MVP. Only started to defeat Jordan, Bird, and Magic in their prime. Now, Scottie Pippen wasn't Scottie Pippen of that he was, though, so you can kind of say, And then I had Steph Curry at 2 and Magic Johnson at number 1. Steph Curry has a chance to overtake him, but the only knock for Steph Curry, I would pick him for my all-time team every single time. But in terms of greatness is how do you perform at the highest level? He doesn't perform bad, but in game time, shots to take the lead, overtime, final 24 seconds of regulation, he's 0 for 9. Right. So that's not hate, it's just a fact. Right. We saw him get locked up by Kevin Love in the 2016 NBA Finals, that one sequence. He has a couple different clutch things, right? He's been clutch versus the Rockets, but it's just that at the highest level, Magic has the hook shot, and Steph doesn't have any moment like that yet. Right. That's it.
I feel that. Yeah, because like for me, man, I got J. Kidd.
All right.
What he was able to do with that Nets team, getting them to 2 finals.
Yeah.
CP.
Scott.
Milk Dud hit it. CP for everything that you just brought up, bro. Like literally the point guard. Then we go Zeke. Now I have Stockton second after that. Okay. But if I was putting my list together, Zeke and Magic are the only 2 point guards that I mentioned earlier that I would put over Chris Paul. If I was literally making a point guard how a point guard should play, those are the only 2 that I would put above them, because Zeke was able to, in the era that he was playing in, he was 6 foot, get you off the dribble, was getting the assist, but he also was getting you buckets.
Yeah, you could score.
Right, at a high level too. So I think that that's the one reason why I would put him over Chris Paul, and he was a great defender as well. Where Chris Paul, if you go through a lot of his prime, there's moments where he's having like 12. He'll have more assists than he has points.
And the durability issue is a factor. I feel like that's one of the things that always knocked him. Was his durability.
Exactly.
His faith.
And then with that, the point guard is Magic Johnson. I think that just everything he was able to do playing all 5 positions, but then the way that he ran the point and that Showtime offense was amazing. And that wraps up our top 15 NBA players. I think we had a really good show today, man. I think at one point I only really seen one hiccup, so I should be able to post this right away, or just let it rock, because I think this posted straight to YouTube anyway. But thank you all for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Shout out to Fitboxer Studio letting us in here. It's a little chilly today in the studio. Chilly outside. Everybody stay warm. Hope everybody got home safely that went to Rolling Loud. It was a great time. Make sure you follow us on IG at J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow the Facebook and YouTube channel, the He Say She Say, all one word channel. Follow me on TikTok as well as Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on IG at the.houseofhoops.
All right, y'all. It was a pleasure. Thank you for watching.
Peace.